Hi everyone. So let's start with Grupo.
Okay.
Yeah,
So for first week,
loud, please.
okay. For first week it was hard. But when we do better. So second week is easier. So it's much easier for me.
Any other doubts?
Everything is going good now.
Okay. All right. Group from group one, others studying.
We started creating communication in our communication plan. So we organized our meetings within an hour, 3 hours, and everything went smoothly, and we was working the whole week, and everything was fine.
That's good to know. Great to hear. Group two. Yeah. Yes.
It was a good week. Was a lot of challenges. Some challenges with scheduling and then learning the new stuff. But I think that the group really worked well together. It was really nice to break the kind of big project, to break it into little parts, and everybody took care of their part. And it was difficult, but I think it worked well in the end.
Yeah, that's really good. Sorry. Okay. Any other problems that you faced besides the SSH key?
After that was solved, it went okay.
Yeah, it took a lot of time, but once we solved it,
yeah,
everything went smoothly after that.
That's really good to hear. Okay, group three.
It went well. At the beginning, we were a bit lost as anybody else, I think. Yeah, the trickiest part was finding the time and the way to get together and make decisions and distribute the work. But once we did that, it was fine. It was fine. Although I have to say the task was a bit unclear at the beginning, maybe because we didn't read properly
or I didn't
instructions.
explain well.
But we figured out at the end, and I think we understood the main purpose of the assignment as it was. We didn't do it perfectly, but we learned the lesson.
Okay. Sorry, I'm doing two things at once. So, any other problems from group three?
Yeah,
technical problems?
I think Daniel has said it nicely. Week after week, just getting more and more confidence on how to use GitHub for development. One of the challenges that we face in the group meeting is like it's hard to manage to have all the 5 group members. In our group, we have 5 people. It's hard to get all 5 people at once. So we wanted to have that meeting in subgroup fashion, like 3 or 4 people at a time. And the other thing was the instructions were a little bit confusing. That instruction was in the curriculum. So we all don't understand that in the same way. And that creates a little bit confusion, and it takes some time to discuss on that because one of us says this way, the other side says that way. So if you don't agree that, we can't go to the actual work. Otherwise, other technical stuff, we at least have either one-on-one type of discussion or video meeting or any else type of discussion, or we can leave the comment across in Slack and manage to do that. And I hope things are way better and better. So I hope next week will be nicer. So since we are going to repeat those steps,
Yeah.
as a hypothesis, that's definitely help.
That's really great to hear. Who's raising their hands? Everybody raising their hands? Okay, great. Group 4, Evan is raising his hand.
I'm raising my hand, but we can also go over this afterwards. If I hear other groups saying that the instructions weren't clear, we can maybe go over together and see what wasn't clear and how they could be more clear for the coming projects. So just keep that in mind before we start the real stuff for today, or the new.
Oops, sorry. I unmute them again. Yes.
You're the boss today, so.
Yeah,
You can do
he's.
it.
Is muted.
Yeah, I am asking him to unmute, so he can unmute. All right, great. Group, that was group 3, right?
Yes.
Group 4.
Same as group 3 in a little bit. I think because we understood the task, but we thought like we had to set everything up. We did all that and started made it so each member could fill in with their own and make their own push request. And then we thought we had to come up with like an idea for a small little homepage. So we also did kind of that brainstorming a little bit. But it was a bit difficult because we had Ruham, he is there, and we had MJ, and we weren't sure. I know Ruham, he was busy, very busy, so we didn't want to put too much on him, but we needed a bit of communication. There was no communication, and also MJ, but I guess maybe he's not joining. But we kind of just divided it between us as much as we could. But then, Evan, you like, stop, you don't have to make a whole homepage. No, we just made it. We had the idea, so we will save the idea.
Awesome.
But then, so we kind of went a little bit back and forward, but understood after all at the end the idea and found a way to work and fill some of it in, and asking Ruben also to join in with what he could, of course. But I know it's difficult when you're not in class and you didn't follow the class. You need to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's we can't tell Ruben everything that happened in last class. So I asked him maybe look at the recording would be the best. To take it from there. And then we definitely need to catch up. So 1 week is certainly not a lot. You've also been so it's difficult to find the time to really, and then you start working yourself, you hit some roadblocks. And I would say working through roadblocks is probably the most learning I had this week at least, when you hit roadblocks, and then you need a little push, literally a push in the right direction, and then that helps a bit, right? So that's what I've been doing.
Yes, okay. For me, this would have been a week to be aware that, come on, the communication. It's so difficult with the groups, and also I have to say that the tasks are not clear, really clear for me. Okay, I don't know if anyone is like you have to take information from one side, from the other side. You don't know exactly a lot of the way you have to accomplish all the tasks. So this is my feeling.
And then we discuss. Then you say, oh, it should be like this, right? That's how I understood it. And like, yes, maybe that's probably right. So and we might be going in a completely wrong direction. So that's.
But I think we think like that. Okay, maybe this is the strategy. Okay, from your future, it's like okay, let's go.
You don't know anything, but
you don't know anything, but you have to do anything.
You have to do all the things you don't know yet.
No, that's not good.
So we try, but we failed.
is this our, what was the point that you didn't understand? Is it our description of the exercise, the homework, or was it the writings on the Git book?
I think in the Git book, I was more or less just starting from point one and then just set up a repository. Do the next one.
Yeah.
Do the planning flow. So I just followed that totally, but at some point it said something about website and then it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
So
That's good. That's good feedback for us as well. That we will take a look at it, and then you could point us also where the miscommunication happens, so we can update our repositories to be more fluent and understandable.
May I say something?
Yeah.
So it's like, it was difficult, the assignment or just the individual tasks?
Also, no what to do.
Instructions.
I think the assignment by itself was not that
it was not
complicated.
complicated.
It
It
was
was maybe the way it
individual.
was
We had
written.
understood right away from the beginning what was the thing. I think in one meeting it would be, okay, you do this, you do that,
Yeah.
we'll move them all together.
Like
send
you
a pull
are
request.
here and it says communication plan, and then you have the template file, you copy it, put it in the repository. So we followed everything you had to do with the find the use of the personas. We were going to do that. We had the intention.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to do that. And reading through it while doing it. What is this? Then comes the design. You know. We also did the wireframe and everything. And it was really good.
Yes.
But yeah, development, we didn't need it for that. We did project board, yes. I don't know where exactly when we did it.
Yeah. Okay.
It definitely did go wrong somewhere with understanding, but yeah, then Evan said, you should just work with what is in there. It was because we set up a total new repository, we made everything, we built everything ourselves, instead of using the template,
Yeah.
the first,
Yeah.
the template, the one you sent to me, then you said, maybe you use this one. So.
Yeah. Group 5.
For group 5, also we had the same issues. Actually, the way we were stopped to do the task, it was making very complex. And then we asked our coach, and he, with the help of him, he made it very simple for us. And then we started doing in the simple way, then the time was finished, and we didn't have much time to finish it.
Okay. I guess everybody has the same feedback for us.
It says
The instructions are very hard. Please change them.
where I think I understood something is in the very beginning, create and share repository. This person will create a new repository from the template or an empty one if you're not using a template. We just go.
Yeah.
So remove that and just say from the template, and then if you put a link for the template, then you cannot, then it's foolproof, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I wouldn't have gone on and done everything, I think.
Our thinking behind it, I'm sure that Ivan is going to say something about this as well, is we wanted to use that planning and collaboration repository or the module of that for any other modules as well. If there is a planning and collaboration on that group, if there is a group work, we wanted to use those steps.
That template or just the steps?
The steps,
Okay.
how you took the steps on the planning and collaboration.
Okay.
And yeah, use them with the other modules as well, not only for workflows, but also for agile and development, agile development, or JS, or any other modules as well. Evan, would you like to?
Yeah, it's exactly that. The workflow is general, so we can't say specifically how to do each project in that folder, the planning and collaboration. But under each module, there's the deliverables section, and that's where you can see specific instructions for that project. So for every module, there's deliverables, and that some of those are projects, some of them are exercises. And for the projects, it'll say use this template. And no matter which template we give you, you're still following the same steps of planning and collaboration. So that's why the planning and collaboration folder isn't so specific. It's because it can't be, since it's something that you're using across all the projects. Specific information will always be in the deliverables section. Does that help answer that question?
Does that answer your questions? No? Yes?
And get used to it.
Yeah,
And we
I
learn
think,
it.
I think the real situation is we're all newbies, and a small thing that is not super clear or super obvious
Yeah.
can get you confused.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Yeah, and then can you just help us then see which parts weren't specifically clear and how they can be clear? Because we've tried, but we're not newbies, so we don't see those gaps. So if you can just tell us things like, where did you look for the information that you didn't find it? That's helpful for us, so we know to put a little hint there, for example. So, but you can do that in the retrospectives for this module. You'll each need to submit one in your private repository. So just put all your specific criticisms, complaints, whatever you call them, put them in there, and then we can take care of it for the next modules for you.
Yes, Sana?
I just wanted to ask now, because I understand there's always been deliverables. We've always been able to find them. Where are they here? In planning and collaboration, there's no deliverables
There is no deliverables. Your deliverable is on workflows.
on the work.
Yes.
Okay,
So
okay.
planning and collaboration is like how to work this model, how to
Okay.
do this model.
Okay.
It's a referral.
Okay.
Maybe we should put it on a suggested studies. Then it will be a bit easier.
I
for
think
them.
it was. I think it was in suggested studies. It was in the prep work. But
Okay.
everything in the student section of the Git book, so that students chapter, all of
Yeah.
that are general references that you'll need every week or every other week throughout the course, no matter which module you're in. Any information specific to a module is going to be in the curriculum chapter. So like the specific instructions for this module's project are in workflows, deliverables. And then that planning and collaborating folder, it's just how you work at Hack Your Future. So it's more of a general reference in the students chapter.
Yeah, that's why we put it also under students, not in the specific model. It's not a specific model. Okay. Any other technical questions? You have any other technical questions that we can answer? No? You got it all?
yeah, I think Mark and I were struggling with Windows, and
Yeah.
it's not worth the pain, so I just installed Ubuntu, and I think Eduardo did the same.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk?
I think Eduardo has a surprise for us.
No,
So-
it's already created, installation in the.
Mhm.
Oh, let me, because this week was so weird for me. Sorry. This Oracle VirtualBox.
Yeah.
This is a virtual environment, so you can create all the environments that you need to create to develop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have something and it's working.
Mhm.
There is no problem with the link. So
Okay.
in Linux, so I just
You didn't install dual boot.
no, because I don't want it. I don't want to have some hardware error or something like that, and I cannot. I need my computer, so with these kind of things, you can try, with a new system, operative system, without doing any changes to your hard disk, partition, whatever. So if you want, as I told you, okay,
Yeah.
we need some space to share because it's around 5 gigabytes.
Uh-huh.
So
GB.
for me, it's no problem. I can use my personal storage
Yeah.
cloud. But I think there is going to be a problem with the bandwidth.
Yeah.
If people is going to download it, so maybe it's going to be a float link or it's not
Yeah,
going to work.
yeah.
So, okay, so
We'll
I don't know if you-
see how we can manage that. We'll discuss, me and you and Evan, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it. Okay, so if you don't have any other questions, Evan?
Yes.
Okay, if they don't have any other questions, that we can at least introduce the.
Sure. So introducing the new module. Last module, you learned all of these steps, maybe not as smoothly as possible, but by the end, you all seem to be figuring them out well enough. And last module also is kind of not interesting. We gave you code that you reconstructed or you submitted Markdown. The point with this module now is we don't give you nearly as much. So last week's project, you had a backlog already, you had a development strategy, and you just tried to see how you follow those as a group. Starting this module, you have to write your own backlogs, your own personas, your own everything from scratch. So you're learning how to develop a project as a group, and the Agile comes in. You can read about that more over the week. But the idea is that when you start a project, you don't know everything. You don't know all the technical challenges you'll come up with. You might not know which features will take a long time or a short time to develop. So you need to be flexible. These development strategies and backlogs, they're not a final document. You write them once, they're carved in stone. You can never change them. What you should start experimenting with this in module is getting used to adapting as you go. So you create a development strategy, you create some issues, you start developing, and you see that actually something is more important than you thought. So you can always go back and you can change the strategy, you can change the issues to adapt. You can be agile as the project is developed to adjust your planning and all of your schedules. What then is important is the communication. The working together becomes much more important than the planning once you start developing. So there's a planning phase where you initially write your backlog and your development strategy, and that's good. That helps you get set up so everyone's on the same page, you know roughly what you're trying to build. But the moment you start building, things are going to break, it's not going to work, it's going to go wrong. And that's when the communication and being flexible is going to be super important. So there's not really much new, technically speaking, this module. Everything that you learned in the last module is what you need for this module. This one, you'll be focusing much more on the interactions and the group aspect and the flexibility aspect. So for this week's project, there is some starter code. There's Laruki website. We can look at that in a second. It's just a really good tutorial from Brad Travesey. He introduces HTML and CSS. And it's a website for like some cloud service thing. You can study that code as much just for inspiration. You can learn how to do a layout. You can learn what it's like to have a multi-page website. But then as a group, you can reconstruct something similar or not. So it's maybe the closer you stay to Laruki, the easier. So maybe if the website that your group develops has a similar layout, then you can copy paste a lot of his layout code into your group project, but you can change the content. So that's it. As far as what you're supposed to build is something that has more than one page and is an HTML and CSS project. You can use a Laruki for inspiration, but you don't have to. So if we're thinking about what you might actually get done in this week, maybe a lot, maybe a little, that's up to each group. So what you should aim for is to at least by maybe Wednesday or Thursday, have all of your issues ready and start sending pull requests, even if it's just little things, but you're not going to finish the full project in this week. That's to be expected. Because this week, what you really need to get stuck on is how do I write a development strategy? What are the important user stories? How do I phrase the user stories? How do I set my priorities? And then as a group, how do we start dividing these tasks? So when you're thinking of what you're trying to get done in this week, it's just seeing what it's like to set up and start a group project, not necessarily to finish one. If you also think in terms of just practicing and repeating, what are we repeating over the last 2 weeks in this week? You're practicing just getting started and planning and setting up a repository and using Git code review and using a little bit of planning. In the next 2-week project, so the second 2 weeks of this module, it'll be one website you're trying to build for 2 weeks. So there, once you're comfortable already with planning, you'll have more time to actually finish a site. So with this week's project, you're going to plan a website yourselves. And this time, Sana, you can build whatever you want. We're not going to say it's right or wrong. What's most important is that you try to scope it. So you try to plan something that you can actually start in 1 week. Of course, not finish, because you're going to be coming up with all sorts of communication problems, scheduling problems. That's normal. But try to think about what's a reasonable thing to actually building the amount of time that you have. So that's going to be more important than what it actually is at this point. That's it. So this module, we don't give you a plan. We just give you a general assignment. And what you're trying to learn to do is to create that plan and to scope the project and to make it as far as you can, to stay flexible and stay in communication so that when something does go wrong, you can adapt. So you're going to start seeing that, like last week, we gave you a development strategy and you kind of just followed it, you copy pasted the code. From now on, development strategies are guidelines. What matters most is how your group gets along and how you react when something is difficult, rather than how perfectly you planned it. That's it. That's the goal of this whole module. This week's project is like last week's, but we're not giving you code and you have much more freedom to build whatever you want. Questions?
No questions? You should ask now.
Yeah.
Not to say later on. We are confused.
I'm so confused now because
It's-
that's, now you do it without the template.
Yes.
Done it already.
Yeah.
It's not difficult, it's not difficult.
Well,
Yeah.
you'll see it gets difficult once you start trying to build a website that has more than one page. And you start to see, so last week it wasn't maybe so bad because it was small. The plan was pretty simple. Once you start trying to plan 10 user stories, you try to set your priorities. And once the CSS and HTML gets more complicated, you're going to have a lot of merge conflicts. Especially with CSS, merge conflicts can be very difficult. So it might not feel so bad, but also that's because you didn't really get into it that much. You built a very simple website last week that didn't require any changes of plan. What you'll also see is if you try to build a bigger website, your plan isn't going to be perfect. And then you have to figure out as a group how to adjust the plan. So yeah, it's not the code that's really going to be the hardest thing. It's going to be this planning and this adapting along the way.
Avi?
When you say sorry,
Go ahead.
when you say when you say more than one page, do you mean like more than one HTML file or like an outside source like link?
HTML file with CSS. So it will be a home page, and there will be a contact us page or about us page, this kind of things, but it has to be a different page as well. It cannot be one page, everything on it, but the contact us page has to be another page, and the about us should be also another page.
And along with that, a planning thing you're going to come across is styles, because you might have 2 or 3 pages that have buttons. But if you assign every person to build one button, they're all going to write their own CSS. You're going to have 5 versions of similar but kind of different CSS in your project. So your plans are also going to start having to account for that. So maybe the first person to write the first button, they create a colorful button class. But then in your development strategy later on, you need to have everyone else assigned to use that class. And so that's something that you'll come across. I'm going to let you guys figure that out organically. Groups, you tend to figure that out once you start seeing the same code show up 4 or 5 times. But that's something that you'll definitely be coming across this week. When you think multi-page, when you think, oh, planning is easy, but then you start to see these repeated things over and over again, and you start to think, how do we be more clever with our plan? Which parts do we assign earlier? Which parts do we assign later? How are we going to share that work? That'll become tricky too.
Yeah, and set your priorities. That will help you in the long run. What is a must, what you have to do, and what you should do, and what you could do. Or else it's going to be a big project that you cannot finish in a week of time, even if it's planned well, and it will not be executed on time. So the best part is to say your priorities and do a small things at once. That's agile, to do snippet of code or project in a small time, which is finished on time as well. Yeah. The other thing about the vocabulary, Evan?
Yeah, so that was also definitely our fault. That wasn't as clear as it could have been, but it's also the first time we've done this vocabulary, so I didn't know what it would look like when you guys started submitting. I didn't know how you would handle it. So we got a lot of files with 20, 30 vocabulary words from multiple people, which is great, but then we also have a lot of overlap. So a couple people just define the same words in different files. So that's something that we can go over on your own time over the next module in the next couple of weeks. Instead of just adding more and more words, take some time to go through and talk to each other and decide which files do you want. Maybe we want a Git and GitHub file. Maybe you want a command line file. General web development terms is maybe another one. And then start deciding between all the pull requests that contain similar words, whose definition you're going to keep for which words, and maybe who's going to contribute a single word to a single file, who's responsible for starting a new file. The goal of the vocabulary is that at the end of whenever, the next week or two, you guys are building up together a collection of vocabulary that you can use for yourselves. So you're online, you're watching a tutorial like, right, what's that? You can check your vocabulary list and you can say, ah, that's the word, I remember that. And if it's not in the list, you can add it and contribute it for everyone else. So you want the list to be organized. You don't want it to have 100 repeated words here and there. So that's it. The assignment wasn't clear. I wasn't sure how people would respond. That's kind of how this whole thing goes. But looking forward, I can see that what thing you'll want to do more is definitely communicate and try to plan so that you don't have 5 or 6 of the same definitions in different places, and that it's organized and useful for everyone. So that's, yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. And also please keep it short. Let's not pass to 500 words. Let's do that. So it will be only one topic, and then it doesn't have to mix up and be a long full README file.
Yeah. Or the pull requests too also. When you send a pull request is generally one topic, one thing. If you're thinking about your projects this week, a pull request is one small feature. So if we're thinking about the vocabulary, a pull request should contain one clear thing, not 2 files with 100 words. So you can maybe add one pull request with one vocabulary word, or one pull request with a couple of related words. That'll also make it easier to go through and see what everyone's working on.
The same thing goes for the snippet. I'm sure if you have seen the deliverables this week, you have snippets, vocabulary, 2 websites to build for this model. So the snippet is codes, HTML or CSS that you feel like help you when you are building this website. So it doesn't have to be the same thing like the vocabulary full snippet code, just a small code that helped you very well with this model as well.
An example of that might be just 4 or 5 lines of CSS that helped you position a box. You spent 4 or 5 hours positioning a button and you're like, wait, that was really helpful CSS trick that I can reuse. You can share that snippet. So that's the point of a snippet. It's just something that someone can copy paste and reuse when they're doing something similar.
That way we can build our own library and then we don't have to write HTML, CSS over and over and over again. The best thing about being a coder is to have your own library that you have HTML and CSS build up that you build yourself, so you can reuse it in any project. That's the most important thing for you as well as a coder, as a front-end developer. I guess this week is going to be Agile development. Have you read about Agile development, or let's just discuss about it openly, I guess? Yes?
Before to go ahead, just a question. Do we need to create a pull request for a group, or anyone else to create a pull request for vocabulary?
For a vocabulary and snippets, that's your individual pull request. There is also a group work, 2 group works on this model. Then you have to create a group pull request for those as well. Yeah.
Tamer, do you have anything to add? Normally you have good little ideas.
Yeah, for me, the instructions is clear for this module, I think. And just please try just copy type, not copy paste. Just use the, yeah. That's it.
Samir is also here. Samir?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I guess as Tamer says, the instruction is very clear. It's just you have to, when you are ever doing the development strategies, the backlog, you're creating the issue, you have to do it as a group. Now, in the last week, I've seen some of you trying just to do the backlog by themselves and the strategy plan by another colleague. That's not possible. You have to work as a group. You have to meet. You have to brainstorming. You have to discuss, and after that, write the backlog and the strategy plan. Because if your strategy plan is very clear, then everything, the coding part, it will be very easy for you. Creating issues will be very easy for you. Everything will be very easy. That's from my part. Am I audible or not?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Sasha.
I think this thing that Sami said is one of the conclusions in the book. You don't know, just there are the codes, the templates inside, but it doesn't tell you how to do that. Like, for instance, at the beginning, people are just copying, originally copying the whole CSS and test it and try to ask a pull request. That it should be like divided among the group members.
Yeah.
Then one person is responsible for certain part of the CSS and so on. So I think I have seen this common guideline in one group. It's not a group, but our group. So this thing should be included on how to divide the tasks among the members. Could be given. The other thing was we were creating 2 or 3 more changes in the different files, and we create a pull request. And I think that's not a good way of doing that. For every change in a single file, you have to create a pull request, because the intention of the pull request is to solve a certain issue. But with myself, I made that mistake because I did a CSS file and communication at the same time and give the pull request. The same mistake I have seen other people also. So this must be also included the change. What's the mistake should be part of the instruction in the video.
Okay, we'll take it as a consideration. But Martin?
I want to say something because Evan also told some days ago about the tasks. Like try to avoid giving, for example, the CSS to one person and the HTML to another person, because in the business, in the real life, doesn't happen like that. It's all mixed up. So think in terms of user story, and each user story will have, as you saw, the HTML and the CSS. The idea is that you will clash with all the different tasks, probably having issues, problems and then your task is also as a group to solve these problems. But each user story will have a part with HTML and CSS. So don't give all the job, the CSS to one person, but do it as a user story. Like it has to be like done like that, be better. Maybe the design, this would be difficult. You should have one person doing the wireframe. But for, as we said, for the backlog, for the documentation, you have to work in team together. And individually, your task will also have CSS and HTML to be the best.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, as you said, you look at it from the user stories, that you have. If I'm working on a header, then the HTML part and the CSS part, and next time when you learn JavaScript also, the JavaScript part will be my responsibility. So my issue will say, a user wants to have a navigation bar, HTML this part, CSS this part, and JavaScript this part. So the whole thing will be my responsibility. The footer also, that will be one person's responsibility. See it as a one sprint. One sprint, that means, let's say footer is one sprint, that means everything that has to be done on that sprint is my responsibility. Any other questions?
You can also think of it just purely from the user's point of view. When you merge a pull request it'll immediately go live on GitHub pages, and you want that thing to be meaningful to the user. So for example, before a button didn't work, after you merge a pull request, the button does work, which means that pull request, like they said, needs to include all the code to make the button work. So that as soon as a pull request is merged, you don't need to merge another one later in order for that to work. If the HTML and CSS are separate pull requests, you need to actually merge 2 pull requests before the button does what it should do. And if you think practically to when you're working on your own at home, so this is also related to your question, how do we assign tasks? You create a bunch of issues on a project board, and then you don't assign them. Someone claims them. So after your development strategy, you create a whole bunch of issues. And then let's say that it's 8 in the morning and you have time. You claim an issue that you think you can finish that morning. And no one has to tell you which issue to take. You take the issue that you can finish. So now you're working on that issue, and you should be able to just work on that issue and fix that problem or develop that thing without having to go to 2 issues. So if you have an issue for HTML and an issue for CSS, and you think it's 8 in the morning, I have time for 1 task. If the task is only HTML, you didn't actually do anything because someone else later needs to finish the CSS. So you'd have a whole backlog of issues. You have time to work, you claim 1 issue, and that issue contains all the work so that you can just build your button. You don't need to wait on someone else for your button to be finished. You can just build a button, send your pull request, and later in the afternoon, someone else can merge it. So that also does fit into the idea of how do you assign tasks, which is you don't. You create tasks and then you claim tasks for yourself. I mean, you can of course talk as a group and say, I really want to practice responsive design. Can I take the issues with responsive design? But then that's how you agree as a group. Still, you're going to go to the issue on the project board and you're going to assign yourself and you're going to work on it. Did that help as well?
Great. I think everyone has said everything that needs to be said. Today, we're going to create also a new group. That'll be a new challenge for you as well, I guess, with the timing and working as a group. What?
What other thing are you doing?
We're going to create a new group. Now we're going to work on that.
Shuffle.
Mix it up.
Yes, we're going to mix it up. So that will be a new thing for you as well. But before we go to our groups, can we discuss a little bit about agile development? I'm sure you have been hearing this word everywhere, agile software development. Can anybody tell me what it means for you?
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, I think agile could be I really don't know that, okay, but maybe it's a complex project and try to keep in small ones. It's like okay, I'm going to create a very complex project.
Yeah.
But if I take this project, is going to be very. I'm not going to be able to create that one, so I'm going to divide into small projects.
Yes.
So I'm trying to accomplish that one. It could be something like agile.
Okay.
I don't know.
Can anybody see this?
Yes.
So forget about his searching his own share for me or this kind of things, but let's see what to say. So let's see.
What is Agile? Today I'm going to attempt to demonstrate Agile by playing football with a pencil. Oh, and stick around to the end because I have a big favour to ask.
Forget about the people.
Hi, my name is Gary Straw and welcome to Development That Pays, the channel dedicated to profitable software development. We do an episode like this every Wednesday, and if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing and hit the bell icon.
Yeah, forget about that. Do not do
This is
that.
James's Park, home of Newcastle United Football Club. I was born in Newcastle and grew up a few miles out of town. In Newcastle, they say that football isn't life or death. It's more important.
Excuses.
My own football skills were was a game we play at the back of the classroom when the teacher wasn't looking. Football, kind of. I'm sketchy on the rules. I guess we take turns to get across the pitch. Nice. It struck me recently that the game is a rather lovely demonstration of Agile. We have value delivered in small increments as the ball makes its way to the pitch. And we have the opportunity to course correct. Turns out that it's easy to recover from a wayward first kick. It's taken me decades to work out how to really play this game. Now, where did I put my special pencil? Ah, here it is. My turn. Ready, aim. Aim some more, and as I'm sure you've guessed, this enormous pencil represents a waterfall approach. It's an all eggs in one basket approach. We design, build, and test this Leviathan and launch it onto the world. It's either a big hit or a big miss. No second chances. If our aim is true, if the playing field is flat, if the goalposts don't move, we're on to a winner. But for me, that's an awful lot of ifs, an awful lot of risk. In an uncertain world, the enormous pencil starts to look less like an unfair advantage and more like a big-ass liability. In an uncertain world, we need a pencil that's more, what's the right word? Agile. With this small but perfectly formed agile pencil, our aim doesn't need to be true. The playing field doesn't need to be flat, and the goalposts don't need to stay put. All that we're really required to do is keep kicking. So what did you make of the What is Agile pencil?
So, was the question, please try to answer the question. What do you make of an agile? Not the pencil, but the agile.
Well, I can see.
Yes.
Because he said waterfall and agile and the same concepts are in business. So I will talk from my business knowledge that waterfall is like you have these steps that you have to follow them from the beginning, and it's like on a single line from top to bottom.
Yes.
And if there is a mistake during the process, it will become a big loss for you because it's very difficult to adjust, to modify this problem.
Yes.
But Agile is more active when you have these ideas that comes from everyone in the team, and during your process, you are correcting the mistakes that you see. You are able to adjust it. This is what I did also from the video. Yeah, it's more active than the other option.
Yeah, than a waterfall action. That's to do all the documentation, all the planning, all the stuff that you need to build the website at the beginning and just throw everything at once and do it.
Yeah.
And to deliver in a short amount of time, small pieces of the websites with the sprint. Any other?
So you mentioned that you have to do a website, like Jalila said, you give it when it's finished to the client. And as you said, then it's difficult to change something. Why you need the steps, feedback. You keep on showing and discuss the steps. So as you said, you can control the process much better.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think I didn't hear the video helpful, so just my conclusion. what I understand by Agile is this: you break the big project, the complex big project into very small parts, and you contribute little by little. Like you have, for instance, an entity report first, then you will have a big picture of what I'm going to do. Then you will do a little bit of work, and you push it once you are sure that works, and you will again do that multiple times. Then if you have a mistake, you know that the last thing that you have to do a problem, also the other task was already checked and it was pushed. So it's something that I understand. So you start from a very simple part of the project and you keep adding very small parts every time when you are sure that it's working.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like we are learning in the Agile way. For instance, we are learning little by little in the class. We are not learning everything at once. Because we start with some part like with the planning, then with the Agile development, next other one is so. That's Agile for me. So strategy, there's a simple one, get the complex part after we are sure these specific parts are working. Instead of focusing on the whole complex components.
Okay. Any other? Yes, Ari? Sorry, Ari.
The world is developing so fast nowadays, and the website or any project can be developed in a second. There are always new requirements. So Agile development is to be flexible to add these requirements within the life cycle of the project.
Yeah.
Not like waterfall, it was used in the previous, where a website is plain and there's no new requirement, so you just do it and deliver to the client.
Yeah.
I have a very simple example from last week report. It was a backlog file. It was just one file with 3 parts. So I pushed the file in a repository, and I asked my colleagues to add their parts, for example, must have, could have, and should have. And it's not necessary to have the project complete and for example, the backlog. It doesn't have to be complete and correct at first. Then there is a way to make it complete and make proposals and then bring changes during all the project time.
Yeah, I believe that as well. Any other? Yes.
I just want to tell that maybe Agile is the capacity to be able to think about a project like a living project, because it's changing. Okay, from the needs of the beginning to the needs of the end, the project is changing. Maybe the customer is going to ask you for some idea, but in the meantime, so you are progressing and the needs are changing. So if you are using Agile, you are be able to change in the project and to create all these kind of things and to be able to meet with the customer's needs. I think Agile would be something also like this. Okay, if you use the big pencil and you start from here, maybe at the end your project is not the needed one by the customer. So with Agile, you are going to be able to adapt, all the code, everything to the customer's needs. So I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah. So we all agree that it's a short-term system that needs that requires rapid adaptation, like you said. So building a small piece of the website in a small time to get the feedback from the customer. Evan, would you like to add any other thing? Are you there?
I'm here and nothing to add. Y'all got it covered.
Yes, that is good. So it's why Agile development? That's the most important thing as well. It's speed. It has customer satisfaction. It's going to be built.
Kalila?
Yes.
Are you sharing your screen?
Oh no, I'm not.
Are you? Yeah, if you're supposed to, we can't see it in the call.
Okay. I am not sharing my screen. I'm just discussing it with the.
Okay, cool.
Okay. It has a speed, as I said. Speed means sorry.
Yeah, that was me. Just a little diagram you can look at afterwards.
Great. Small life cycle means less time working on a development, and that means less time means less getting paid as well. So the companies choose that way. Unfortunately, the other part is customer satisfaction, because you always have a feedback from your customer. The customer will be satisfied on the product that it's going to give at the end of the project. The other part is it values employees as well. Why? Everybody will have a part on that project. You will have a say. The employees will have a say. Will have will have a say, and will say something or discuss on it or change something they need on that product or project. They'll feel valuable and accepted as well on that project. The last part is it will eliminate rework. If you can see with your projects as well, everybody checks everybody's reviews, everybody checks everybody's pull requests, and it doesn't have to be done 100 times a day. And since you have the feedback of the customer, then you don't have to go back and do other things as well. So one sprint, you show the customer will give its feedback, or your product owner will give its feedback, and then you can change it. It will be your version 2. That way you can change your product as well. That since you have covered most of it for me, I'm going to, should I share the screen?
Sorry, Jalila, may I add something? I don't know if it will be useful or not.
Yes.
Yes. So first, now, Ivan said that assigning the issue, maybe you can do it according to your time as a group. I don't know, but from my own opinion, I think it's better to assign issue as a group, because like that, everyone will know what he's supposed to do. That's the first point. The second point about Agile, I want to share my screen. I don't know if I can or not.
So let me close my screen, I guess. Yes, try.
Let me try. This will stop as a yes, it's okay. So let me share my screen. And as you can see from my screen, I have a very simple website. And what this website is doing is I can add a restaurant, for example. I will just, I'll just say superhero. I can add a location, Brussels, and I can like choose a price range. So I will choose this one, I will add it. And as you can see, the restaurant has been added. So if I try to build this website using the water flow method, that means I have to build everything. So the functionality, adding restaurant, updating restaurant, deleting restaurant, I have to build everything together. And most probably because you don't, or you haven't built this website before, you will not be able to build it at once. It's not possible. And if you try it, you probably not be succeeded. Now the water flow method or way, it's useful in one case only. In this case, if you have built, you have built this website many times, that means you already know everything, you know what you have to do. In only this case, it's useful. But most probably as a developer, new developer, it will not be useful for you. That's why we're using the Agile methodology. So the Agile methodology, which means we have to build just one feature at a time. So first, for example, in this one, I will try to work, or I will work on the first feature, which is adding restaurant. When I'm done, when I'm testing it, everything is okay, I will try to start to work with the second feature, which is updating the restaurant. When I'm done with this feature, I will try to go to the second feature and try to build it. I don't know if it was useful or not.
It's always useful, Samir.
Yep. So yeah.
So I will share. I'll share your group randomizer on a Slack channel. Then you can make a group as I suggest, and we'll see how to bring our web camera on with each group.
So this will be a little trickier for the groups because some members will be in person, some will be online, or yeah, online. I was messed up, online, offline. Some of you are there in Antwerp, some of you aren't. So when you do split into your groups, just be really respectful. Make sure that you have the call open, that you slow down. Remember to ask the person who's not there, because when you're together, it's easy to look at each other's screens or just go quicker. So just be sure to take the extra moment to check in with your group members that aren't there in person so they can follow along and be part of it. That's all.
I will share this.
There's also other things to say about like practically how it happens. I don't know if I can say a few words.
Yes, go ahead.
So about you have sometimes also the project owner, the scrum master, and the team. So everybody knows what so as a ticket, so as a task to do. Then the scrum master is the one that has to talk with the team, know what is happening, and then go to talk with the project owner or the, let's say, the client. So this way he's always, he knows because he's doing the dailies with all the team, he always knows what is the project, what is the situation, the current situation of the project. It's always is kind of the interface between the client and the team. So that's very, very important. And another idea that I've seen working following this methodology is that we are replaceable. Like we have
You got a sign.
a task to do, but maybe a person is sick, for example, or for any other reason is not available. So they have quickly to reorganize the tasks and find somebody else that would replace this person that is sick, for example. And it happens very often. So the documentation is very important because the steps are always flexible, and you know what you have to do to accomplish a task, to do something. Everybody knows what the others they do also. Everybody know what he or she has to do. So you start the day, and you already know that communication is the key, so you know what to do, what you have to do during the day, and somebody will ask you, say, okay, what did you do today? Because there are then the moments of communication. So it's only about the main thing is the communication. So you always have the feedback and talk about the process. Okay.
Okay. We can start. Table 3, page 5, I think. Next. Yes, here. We were here. Back. Yes, here. So from the Agile picture, we have seen plan, design, build, test, and review, right? From that, let's do what we have done since now. We have done the repo, set up a repo, brainstorm, see the big picture, discuss constraints, start. This was the requirements that you have to do last week and the week before, I guess. So from these requirements, as you can see, I have divided them in 5 places, what it means for each step of the Agile sprint. On the design part, I've stopped here, I guess, before 5 minutes ago. Wireframe and development strategy. To build, you just create an issue and claim an issue and start developing. That's your build part. Test, your test is the code quality checks. The NPM runs, the NPM lints, CSS, HTML lints. Those are your tests. Review, when your group member reviews your code review and try to merge it to branch, that is your review part. And the last one is launch, as you can see under. Launch is when you merge the branch to the main. That will be your launch point. So if you go to the first page, Samir, sorry. First page. Yes. Here, it is what you have been doing till now. There's nothing new, nothing more. It's just you've been doing Agile methodology and Agile development before knowing it. Now you just been introduced to the Agile development. Yeah, any questions? No? All right, then we can start the group. We have 30 minutes. We can discuss for 30 minutes and then we'll take a break, another 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and discuss again.
I have a question. What is the personas? User persona.
User personas. Let's say there is a website. You're building a website. Let's say it's a makeup website. And you want to know who's going to use that website. You're selling on that website a makeup. Let's say I come in and I want to buy a dark skin lipstick, a dark lipstick. Where would I go? Which one I touch? Which one would I touch? Which directions will I take when I come to that website? So you have to think from the user side. That is your user persona. So you say, meet Galila. She wants to buy a dark lipstick from this website. And she's been having a problem finding a darker website on the shop. So she will come to this website to buy that darker lipstick. That is your user persona. Yeah. Any other things that you want to add, Samir?
No, it's great. It's just as Jalila explained. So the job, what you have to do first, you have to do plannings and designs and builds and tests and review. That what will be your sprint. And sprint normally is just like a time, how much time it will take to do the sprint. Normally is a sprint between 1 to 2 weeks normally, or 1 month. So you will do the same step for each feature here. So let's say you have the first feature, you have to plan, design, build, test, review. And then for the second feature, you have to do the same job again, again, and again. That's basically it.
All right.
Yeah.
I have one very practical thing. For the Slack groups, please remove yourselves from your old Slack groups and join the new one. That's it.
When you join a new one, please remove yourself.
I want to add, like it could be that during this process from sprint 1 to sprint 2, you say we cannot match this the time. It's not will not work, so we have to change the sprint. We have to change. We need more time to do something.
Yeah.
So this is why also there's always continuous adaptation.
Yeah, but you don't have to create a new group like in the channel, Sanif.
Oh yeah,
Oh, you don't have to. We have already group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 5. I think the groups are made also until 5. You just search. If you are in group 3, you search Antwerp, Lab Antwerp /1/3. Then you can find it.
Okay, let me stop sharing them.
Should I divide you in groups as well? The breakout rooms? On Zoom? People on Zoom, please answer. I'll stop recording now.